Hey everyone, welcome to Mountain Beast Mysteries. Today I have a very interesting story, an encounter about a couple hunters who were out in 1996 in Washington, Yakima County, who had a very creepy Bigfoot encounter in the middle of the night. And they were up on this ridge in the middle of the night when, they were told not to be up there after dark. And something approached their camp and was just watching them from the darkness. Now, I like these stories about hunters and outdoorsmen because, they have a decent amount of experience out in the bush and they can tell the difference between, different types of animals that exist in these areas. They're pretty good at wildlife identification and things of that nature. And, for hunters or people who spend quite a bit of time out in the bush to have something scare the crap out of them like that, it really says something. This is something that's unexplainable to them. And really, there's only one creature that we know of that can do that, and that is what we call Bigfoot. So this is a very interesting story. I think you guys will love it. I'll get right into it here. I will begin by saying that I'm an avid extreme hunter and outdoorsman, as is my companion on this trip. We've hunted together for many years through all sorts of terrain and conditions, and have developed a certain uncanny sense for each other in the mountain. Normally I would not entertain writing this, but I have again been awakened by the reoccurring dream of this misadventure. The incident began after some brutal, unsuccessful elk hunting on the Bethel Ridge above Oak Creek. We are both local and know the mountain better than most. We decided to head over to the Cowshay, where I had tagged a nice young bull the year before. The area supports a fair local herd and is extremely rugged. We had access to an area through a friend that owned some property and lived a very primitive lifestyle up there. Frank is his name, and being a little eccentric, his tales of Bigfoot and not being caught on the Divide Ridge after dark were scoffed at by myself and hunting partner Justin. Anyway, we headed straight up the ridge in my hunting rig in late afternoon to pitch camp. We encountered 3 other rigs coming back down as the sun was setting. They were driving at a high rate of speed. I knew one of the guys. He's a logger up there, and he stopped to warn us of the Divide Ridge after dark. I said, "Thanks, see ya," and he proceeded back down the mountain fast. Justin commented about being a bunch of wimps. We found a fair site to spend the night. As some weather was coming in, we picked the heavily wooded, very dense north slope to put out our bedrolls. The place had an eerie feel to it, and I dismissed it as being in my head. We were gathering wood by flashlight for a fire when we both stopped and simultaneously looked at each other. "Do you smell that?" "Yeah, it's probably a cougar kill." A very strong, rancid odor. Not like rotting meat decay, just a putrid smell. We got a fire going and I put on a pot of venison chili. Justin started building the fire bigger and bigger. This was uncommon for him, and I asked him. He stated, "Something ain't right up here tonight," and I said I agree. We both know fear feeds on fear and dismissed it at that. Then we heard the first whistle or howl. The first one was distant and we could hear clearly due to no wind and the cold. When elk call each other, people not familiar with Wapiti can misinterpret these calls as whistles. This was no elk. Justin got out his cow elk call and responded with a short set of chirps. I got out my Weatherby and .44 Magnum. Something was not right. There was no initial response to Justin's cow calls. I put some more wood on the fire. Then came the second shrill howl in the creek bottom down below us. It was loud and like nothing else we've ever heard, and believe me when I tell you, we have hunted every manner of known species in these mountains. My hair was literally standing on end. Justin said, "We're out of here right now. Cover me, I'm pitching camp." He started packing tarps and gear while I sat listening and watching, heavily armed. Justin is one of the most fearless men I've ever met. He was white with fear. Next thing we heard was feet walking in the snow, very loud crunching. Justin about knocked me over getting to my rifle. The scary part is, we have crashed enough hooved ungulates through the woods to know the sound of 4 legs crunching snow. This was very deliberate walking, not crashing or running. I screamed out that we were locked and loaded and whoever is out there to come into the light, hoping someone would. The crunching snow stopped. Now both Justin and I are very seasoned and responsible hunters and probably the last ones to shoot at noises in the dark, but this had gone far beyond that. There was something standing out there in the dark, large, and not scared of us, which for any manner of known species in our mountains is unusual. The silent standoff went on for about 2 minutes. We could see nothing outside the light of the fire and lanterns. Now mind you, this creature was close enough that we could hear it walking in the snow, so we knew it was still there. But there was no smell. I called out one more time and we fired one shot from my pistol into the air. Then all hell broke loose. There was a loud short grunt and running feet crunching in the snow, and we started firing, reloading, and firing. We did not stop shooting till we were loaded up and well on our way. After a harrowing drive off the mountain that night in the snow, which I do not recommend to even experienced drivers, we made it back to my ranch. My wife took one look at us and knew something was truly wrong. Justin refused to talk the whole drive off the mountain, and to this day he refuses to talk about it. I have no desire to go back up to Divide Ridge to investigate. It's 3 a.m. and I'm writing this after I was awakened again by the same incident. I'm still an avid hunter, but I stick to Bethel Ridge. Make no mistake, this incident has changed my perspective. I would encourage anyone interested in this to spend some time on Divide Ridge. Good luck. The one thing that is curious, did the sound of my hunting buddy blowing the wapiti cow call attract something? And why was it not afraid of human voices or the fire? It was obviously afraid of gunfire. Another thing I forgot to mention is the flashlights were in the truck, outside of our fire lantern light when this occurred, and neither one of us thought about retrieving them to illuminate whatever it was. So what do you guys think of that story? I find it very interesting. They took off in the night, so you know, if they would have waited till daylight, they could have probably found lots of footprints around the area because it was walking through snow. But you know, they were just too scared and too startled to tough out that night. I mean, it's interesting because there's two guys, they're locked and loaded, they're heavily armed, and they're experiencing an amount of fear that makes them want to get the heck out of there and never return. And then I think, man, I'm going to some of these areas by myself for like multiple nights. if this happened to me, like, how would I react? Because when I go back into the bush, like deep backcountry, it's not like you can just leave. You have to hike out 10 kilometers or 15 kilometers, sometimes 20 kilometers, and you can't just leave in the middle of the night. You pretty much have to just stay there and tough it out until the break of dawn. And then as soon as that sun comes up, you pack up and leave if you can't handle it. So yeah, it's a different case too. Like when you have a vehicle and you're camping by your vehicle, you can just jump in the car and take off. But being on foot, you know, it's a different story. But the first thing that they noticed was they smelled a really strange smell, a putrid, rancid smell, and kind of thought nothing of it, you know, even after being warned. They said they talked to one of their friends who was in the area, you know, who lived up there, lived a primitive lifestyle. He was telling them crazy Bigfoot stories, and he warned them. And, you know, they didn't listen, and this is what happened. So, I don't know, just a very great story, a very intense, creepy Bigfoot encounter that, you know, makes you wonder. It seems Washington has a lot of the best Bigfoot encounters that have ever been reported. A lot of really intense, scary ones. So that's all I have for this video, guys. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments. If you want to support Mountain Beast Mysteries, you can do so using the GoFundMe link in the video description. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Mountain Beast Mysteries.